Hello everyone and welcome to Club Deck Corner here on Club at 22, the Rangers podcast. And finally, we have a signing to talk about. I am your host, Scott Carney, and joining me tonight is all the lads. Ali, how are you, mate?
Very well. I'm in Aberdeen, of all places, after that result last
Did you
night.
buy a Darvel top? Did you buy a Darvel top? You better be walking out in one.
They were delighted to see me come in today. So I was ready for them. Some of my customers are Aberdeen fans up here, so I was ready for them. So it was an enjoyable visit today.
Absolutely superb, mate. I am actually jealous that you're in Aberdeen. That is brilliant. Yes, what a laugh that gave us. Scotia, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. I was waiting to see how long it would take for that result last night to get brought up. So I'm glad Ali's done it straight away. Get that out of the way so that we can focus on the main thing, which is Rangers signing players.
Yes, I hadn't even had it noted down. It was I didn't even know Ali was in Aberdeen, so that was very fitting. Alistair, well done. Ryan, how are you, mate?
Yeah, very good, boys. Very good. I'm quite impressed that Alistair doing his Peter Odom-Wingy number and turning up at Aberdeen for the job when Goodwin hasn't even been removed yet. But Ali, I hope you get the job, mate. You'll do a good job up there, I think.
Ryan, I'm literally 2 minutes from Aberdeen's training ground. I'm staying at West Hill, which is in the outskirts of Aberdeen, and that's exactly where their training ground is. So, it was a happy place.
I don't know if you'll be able to buy a Darvel top in Aberdeen today. I imagine every Rangers fan up there's probably went and bought a Darvel strip that you could get in Aberdeen. But aye, what a laugh! What a laugh! I've still not. My stepdad's an Aberdeen fan. I've said it on the podcast before, and I've still not messaged him because I don't think he's going to be very happy. I was thinking about maybe trying to do it via my mum to see how the water was, but I don't think he'll be particularly happy about what he witnessed last night.
You're a bigger man than me, mate. I would have been blocked by about 10 o'clock this morning, I think.
Yeah, I know. I had a good laugh at it to myself, but I thought I better not. Anyway, before we get into Rangers things, just a shameless plug as always. Please do subscribe to the channel and like the video. Also, leave your comments with your opinions on the stuff we're going to discuss tonight. Additionally, if you'd like to go a step further to support the podcast, you can join the YouTube channel by becoming a member for as little as 99p a month. You can also buy the podcast a coffee and join the Coffee Buying Legend membership via buymeacoffee.com. All the links for that are in the description for this podcast. If you hear crying sounds, it's not coming from any of us. My little man has had a bit of a mare today, so he's literally next door right now. So if you hear that, apologies for any background.
I thought it was Aberdeen training ground there.
It's my stepdad. My stepdad's appeared on the pod. He's crying his eyes out. Yeah. So right, gentlemen, before we get to Cantwell, which is what we're all really here to speak about, before we get to that signing, we will discuss the St Johnstone game briefly. Just briefly, we'll get the negativity out the way first, and then we'll move on to Todd Cantwell. So I did the reaction myself after the game. So Ali, obviously going by the nature of the chat within the group chat on Saturday, I don't think anybody was particularly pleased with what they were watching. So your thoughts on the overall performance, mate, and in hindsight, have you kind of calmed down and seen it for what it was?
It wasn't great. As I said before the match on the previous podcast, that Rangers should be going to these teams and turning them over and putting a performance in for us. That's what I was hoping.
You did jinx it, to be fair. You did.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was hoping for. I did say that I would have a couple of pints at my time, so regardless of what Rangers did, that would numb it. I think me and Scotia had about 5 pints by the time the game kicked off. But it's what I've been watching, Carney. It's the pitch wasn't great. It's 3 away games in 6 days as well, which we need to remember. At Hampden, that dodgy pitch, Kilmarnock on their dodgy pitch, and then this pitch with the same real players, because we can't really change it. It was flat, slow. It's what we've seen for the last, since Beale's come in, to be honest. We've seen in patches decent play, but the first half in particular was a non-event until Ryan's pal steps up and scores a worldie. But it wasn't great, and it showed again that the Rangers team, it needs fresh blood in the team. It needs something to spark it, because it's too flat for me at the moment. It really is.
Yeah, Scotia, I think I can't really add much more to it than what Ali said. It's the sheer lack of depth really within the squad right now that's kind of causing these performances. In hindsight, I get what Bill was saying after the game. Yes, it is 3 away games in 6 days, and we have come out with 3 wins. Ultimately, that's all it's going to be remembered for. But as a performance level, I'm not going to sit here and pretend to anybody that what we were watching was particularly acceptable.
Oh, it was a really poor game to be honest. And I mean, that team that went out, I think everyone in the pod on Friday night had said that would be the team. You know, I'd mentioned maybe play Kamara, but I did say that no, Lundstrom will play. So no one's surprised, and like Ali says there, alludes to our lack of depth that we've got at the moment. I'm probably the one that jinxed it because I went from a 6-1 scoreline, which clearly didn't come in. But we do have a chance to rectify that at the weekend, and we'll discuss that on Friday again. But no, it was a poor game. A wee bit of class for the goal in terms of the build-up to it, and then Borna strike, and then that obligatory period in the 10 minutes where the hearts in the mouth stuff as the ball closes in the line and Tav manages to clear it off just in time. But I've only watched the Viaplay highlights back. I had no appetite to go and watch that full game back. It was that bad.
I haven't even watched the highlights, mate. I was like, after I'd done the pod on Saturday, I was like, I don't ever need to really speak about this game until tonight, obviously, where I discuss it with you lads. But I was like, I'm not watching that back, no chance. Ryan, yeah, there's not really much to take from the game at all. We all called the team to be like that. Well, myself, Alistair, and Scotia did. But can you take anything away from that, mate? It was a slog.
Yeah, it was just. Listen, we're not an entertaining team to watch. We're not. We don't play attractive football. We don't entertain. I very rarely go away from games, unfortunately, and say, "Oh, we were great today. We were brilliant. We were on fire." I'm hoping that changes with a bit of freshness in the team, which we are desperate for. New faces and fresh legs in that team. Absolutely desperate for it. And they got the result though. We could single out some players that have let us down consistently recently with their performances, but there's no point. We'd be painting the wall again, going over old ground. Everybody knows the players that are just not performing to the level that it should be. But this is where the new signings come in, and we're going to get on to it. That hopefully they bring a bit of freshness about the team and start giving us something else. I don't feel as if we get much of a game plan apart from get the ball wide and cross it in. And it's very predictable, and it's very slow, and it's very mundane, and it's very hard to watch. But we are through, and it is all that matters in the cup games. We are through, and credit to Bonar for coming up with his first goal in 2 years. But there's a couple of boys on this podcast that were video calling me, bullying me, Carney. So there'll be a wee letter going into the club at 22 HR department. They were jumping about with bottles of Moe and Dom Perignon singing Boy George songs, and I wasn't happy.
I think you should address them to Jamie Lowe because he is admin, HR, finances. Jamie Lowe is everything.
Johnny.
So I would address it. I would address it to him. No, look, Bonar. It's a great strike from him. It really is. And look, it doesn't take anything away from the way he's been performing recently or the opinions that they have around him, but it was going to take something like that for Rangers to score. And it was at the perfect time. I think it knocked the stuff in at St Johnstone. And look, the keeper made a couple of cracking saves. The one particular from Scott Wright I thought was a brilliant save because that's a kind of looping shot. It very easily could have went in. So he did do well, and we were comfortable within the game. Obviously, this is all in hindsight. I think the reason I was maybe the reason the way I was after the game was just because you know that 10 minutes is coming. We haven't killed this game off, and you know you're going to sit for the last 10 minutes going, why are we doing this? Why have we got to sit here now and let St Johnstone come on to us? They will get the inevitable chance, but this time we were lucky. And the pitch was shocking. I mean, absolutely terrible. I spoke to guys that were actually at the game as well, guys at work that I go and see, and they were at the game and they're like, the pitch was awful, like truly awful. So all in all, you've got to take it and run, I suppose. I think the only thing really to come out of it is, again, the kind of clamour for Lowry to get a start more or to get more time. Ali, he did play a wonderful pass through for Morelos with outside his right boot. However, at that point, again, reeking of negativity out myself here, it's at a point where St Johnstone are pushing, they're pressing, they're quite stretched, the game was quite stretched, so he had the time and the space in order to play that pass. However, he was a glaring example of what is missing within the team at the same time.
Yeah, I've said for ages, he's the one guy that we miss, that kind of player. He's got a bit of a swagger about him, Lowry. It was a great ball from him, but he'll do a bit of magic for you. We just miss that. You take Ryan Kent out of our team, right? And Ryan Kent, I felt sorry for him the last, especially at Hampden and that pitch there, because he can't play his game in those parks. But if you take Ryan Kent out of our team, we are really up shit creek in terms of creativity. I know Malik Tillman does a bit of flash of brilliance for that, for the goal, but we just, the middle of the park, we just lack something there. And Lowry's the one guy that can provide that.
He is. Yeah, he is. And yeah, I think Scotia, you will get people saying that he should be starting. I don't think he's better than Tillman right now. In my opinion, if you were going to play Lowry, his peak position, if you like, it would be there. It would be with where Tillman is. However, even saying that, I think we could have started with Tillman and Lowry and just had Lundstrom on his own on Saturday. I didn't think, or Jack on his own, whoever it was going to be doing the sitting role. So is it the age-old thing of, we'll come on to someday as well later on that Rangers might not have really made the best judge on, but is it a case of we're just not giving him the opportunity?
On Lowry, I think what you were saying there about him starting with just one sitting midfielder, I think that was maybe possibly a case if it hadn't been a cup game. The fact that it's a cup game, it's a must-win game for Beale, and its managers reverting back to when it's a must-win game, you trust the players that you've worked with more often. I think for Lowry as well, though, this injury that he got earlier in the season has really, really upended his season and his game time that he was going to get this season, because he obviously goes out injured, and then by the time he's ready to come back in, Gio's kind of playing to stay in his job, really playing games to stay in his job, and he's doing that thing like I just mentioned, playing players that he has more trust in. So Lowry wasn't given the time then, and then Beale coming in. I've not actually looked at Lowry's stats since Beale's come back in, but he's not had many chances under Beale, I don't think. I think this was probably maybe 10, 15-minute cameos here and there, but maybe moving forward, this is something you'll see more. But then the players that we've got in and are getting linked with are players that are kind of vying with that position with Lowry. So it'll be interesting to see going forward with Lowry how he copes, and obviously what's happened with one of the players that we'll discuss later on.
Yeah, Ryan, I know you've been screaming for youth to get their chance, mate, and would you disagree with anything, or I pretty much agree with what we're saying, that if Lowry is just a glaring example of what we have been missing, again, in the nicest possible way, I don't want to take anybody to take this the wrong way, I still think there's a lot of pressure within the team just now from the support. That's always going to be there. I do get that, but because of the way the season's went, that we have to win every game, and maybe Beale's trying to protect him a bit and not throw him into the Bears' den, basically, when he won't be allowed to make mistakes.
I won't lie to you, that's crossed my mind as well. And then obviously about one of the young players leaving today, that kind of thought rapidly evaporated. I think when you look at Tillman, who's probably a similar age, I don't know his exact age, but he's a similar age to like Lowry and McCann, and he's been allowed to express himself, he's been allowed to make his mistakes. I know he's came from Bayern Munich in a totally different setup, but he goes through his patches where an hour you don't even notice he's on the pitch at times, but he is, as Ali says, he's a turn opener, he can change a game. There's some lovely touches, and that's where I feel as if we're in it's not a situation where we'd all choose to be in 9 points behind Celtic, but we are in a situation where you could use it and utilise these young boys. Like I said, when Beale first came in, I'd like to see Lowry and McCann get chances and make their mistakes and be allowed time to nourish and establish themselves from now till May. And that's where I would like to see, obviously McCann's not going to now, but I'd like to see Lowry do that. Do I think he's going to get a chance? I don't know what it is with Rangers with young players. We're going to come on to it. I just don't see Lowry getting his chance now. Like Scotia's alluded to, we've just signed Cantwell, but it looks as if we're going to sign another couple of attacking midfielders. He goes down the pecking order again, and where does he get his chance? It makes me think that Lowry will end up leaving Rangers. Maybe not this window, but at the end of the season, I just think he's outgrown, as I've said numerous times, the Lowland League or the Rangers B team, and I think he's miles off of getting into that Rangers first team. Not in my opinion should he be, but I don't think he's in. It doesn't look as if he's in Bill's plans.
Yeah, I was going to come to it later on, but I'll stick with it now because you mentioned it, Ryan. Obviously, Charlie McCann has left to go to Forest Green. That's correct, isn't it? He's went to go to Forest Green. Looks like he's going there to be a pretty regular starter anyway, based on the reports that he's getting a decent pay in comparison to what they pay their players. Now, this is a difficult one for me because I do get, from what I've seen in McCann, I've seen glimpses that I've liked. I've seen glimpses where he's not really made an impact. Again, I know I'm kind of contradicting myself because of what I just said there, Ryan, with it, fans aren't going to give people the chance, and I fall into that bracket too. When you're in the heat of the moment of a game, you don't want to give kind of players chances, and it does happen to you. But I know you were a massive fan, mate, so I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think the club have mismanaged this a wee bit?
In my opinion, I've read a lot of different opinions. I know Ali said on the chat about what he thought, and I totally get where he's coming from and other people are coming from. I won't use the language that I used towards Ali in reply, but it was something along the lines of "on your way, Alistair." I just think it disheartens me, Carney. I love seeing, like we all do, young boys coming through Auchenhowie, and you see them, you think he's got something about him, he could make it, and then something happens and they don't. I think we've been very fortunate with the recent young boys who have made it, like Patterson, who was forced, you could say forced into playing for Rangers at right back because Tavernier had been injured last year. He got his opportunity, he excelled under it, he was fantastic. I thought he was great. I know it was a lot of money to turn down, but I don't know, I think it was still a huge decision to make with Patterson. Bassey's another one. We bought Bassey as a kind of development player, not a B team, but a kind of development player, squad player. And we weren't really thinking about him as a first team player, and we got forced into playing him because of our injuries again. And lo and behold, give him a chance, and he's a fantastic player, and he's off for 25 million. And King's another one who, whether you rate him or whether you think he's got a future or not, he only got his chance this season because of the injuries. And it's a recurring theme with Rangers where if you're a young player and you've got potential, chances are you ain't getting a chance here because we need to bring players in. We need to go and splash 3 million on an unknown like Rabbi Metondo. We need to go and spend money on other players. And it disheartens me. It really does. And I'm not saying Charlie McCann was going to be the answer this year and he was going to come in and he was going to be the new Ian Durrant or the new Paul Gascoigne. What I do think is Stephen Davis, who is a Rangers legend, and I never use that word lightly, but a Rangers legend in my eyes, is coming to end his Rangers career. And no offence to Stephen Davis, I don't want to see him there next season. I think he's done his job for Rangers. I think Rangers need to move on. And I think Charlie McCann was the perfect player to replace him, as whether it be a squad player or just a perfect player to kind of be that tidy player and pick up the loose balls and just pick up what Stephen Davis did. And I'm disheartened by it, if I'm being honest with you, and I think Lowry's going to be the same. I can see him leaving, and I think Rangers are doing something wrong with their young players. That's my opinion.
Ali, I think I can see the argument, and I know what you're going to say. I think I know what you're going to say, and I get your argument, and I also get Ryan's argument. I think with this happening with McCann has raised a few eyebrows among the support. I think if this happens with Lowry, the serious questions will be asked because a lot of people see Lowry as having a massive future at Rangers. Obviously, your opinion on it, mate, your opinion on McCann, and also Ryan saying that you've seen him as the being the Steve Davis with this kind of taking over Steve Davis's role within the team and being that squad player. Maybe the boy wants first team football though as well.
Yeah, I mean, he was offered a contract at 26 or something, but he would have been a squad player. It's a difficult one because I'm like Ryan. I want to see these boys come in. I want to see them get a chance. I want to see them succeed and go forward as in the Rangers first team. But it's with Rangers in particular, it doesn't happen. You go through God knows how many years and how many players have actually made it into that Rangers team, and there's very few, to be honest. So it's difficult. He's come into the team this season in a difficult team, and he hasn't looked great. But back then, I always said, when you bring these boys into a negative team, it's not great for them. And I think we've seen that with McCann when he did play for us. But the boy wants to go and play first team football, and he's going to get it at Forest Green. It's going to be a completely different environment he's going to. He's going to a League One Forest Green team that are sitting bottom of League One at the moment, and he needs to try and get them further up the league. Small stadium they play at. They're one of these. That's like an eco-type team, Forest Green, the way they go. So it's a completely different environment. But fair play him. If he wants to go there, make a name for himself and jump up the leagues in England, he probably will. But I just think where we want to go and where Beale wants to go, I don't think he's good enough. I'm looking at boys to come into that first team. I think he could be a squad player, yes, but I think Beale's looked at him and thought, well, he was obviously offered him a contract, so he could see him as a squad player, but I don't think personally he's good enough to be in the Rangers team for where we want to go next season. At the moment, in the Rangers team, I could see him getting game time, but for next season, going forward to challenge for that title, I don't see him there. So I've got nothing against Charlie McCann, and I wish him all the best at Forest Green. I'll follow him in his journey. Hopefully comes back and rams it down Rangers and does really well and goes on to have a fantastic career. But at this point, I just don't think he's good enough for next season for us, unfortunately. I'm sorry, Ryan.
There is absolutely no doubt that he'll go off and have an amazing career. There's no doubt. It happens. It just happens.
I just text you there. The thing I would challenge against that, and I totally get. I think Ali's got a good point, and Charlie McCann's performances. I put my hands up. Like, I've seen him quite a bit with the B team. He's been outstanding. Like, he's excited me when he's been playing with the B team, and I'll admit when he's played with the first team, he's not looked great. But when you take into consideration to just kind of counter that is he's been coming on for 20-minute appearances. He's actually played 4 games for Rangers this season in his career in a year. 4, I'm sure they're 4 substitute appearances. He started against Blackpool at the beginning of the season and scored. I think he had 24 minutes or something against Dundee United last year, and then against Aberdeen there, and made his debut in the Scottish Cup. I think Scotia might know more details about that, but I just think he just didn't get a fair crack of the whip to prove himself. But again, to caveat that, his performances weren't great when he was given the opportunity, so I get Ali's point.
Yeah, Scotia, where do you sit on this? I am probably a wee bit more towards Ali's way of thinking as well, to be completely honest. I think if he was good enough with the state of the midfield, the way the midfield's been, that he would have been playing a lot more regularly. That's my personal opinion. But I 100% agree with Ryan at the same time. So I'm very much like on kind of both camps. Do you fall into a particular camp here, mate? Good old Rangers fans splitting things into camps like we do.
Yeah, no, I'll be quite happy on the fence here, please, Carney. I'll sit right there in the middle because I do get both sides of the arguments, and I'm probably like you. I'm probably a wee bit more leaning towards Ali's way of thinking more than Ryan's. And I would say on the off from that, the reason for that is that when I look at it, if this was a situation with Lowry that we're talking about, I would be far more over in Ryan's side of the camp, because for me, the big one is I look at Charlie McCann and he doesn't offer, like some of the key advantages the young players have in them, it doesn't offer you that homegrown Rangers player aspect or homegrown Scottish player aspect, which Lowry obviously does. And then I look at someone like Raskin, who looks imminent as well. And is Raskin going to be a better player, improve the squad more than Charlie? improve the first team more than Charlie McCann would right now? I would say yes. And obviously Raskin's not that much older than Charlie McCann. In fact, they might be the same age. So yeah, with McCann, I'm like, and I was thinking as well, how often when we've been predicting our starting 11s have we chose Charlie McCann to start in the team? I think I've maybe done it 2 or 3 times. And I don't know, I've not looked through it, so I can't speak for you guys either, but I think I've only done 2 or 3 times. I was looking, like Ryan had mentioned, I did have a wee look at his stats. I'm sure he played the full 90 minutes against Dundee United, Ryan. I may have completely misread it in transfer market.
Do you know, I thought he'd started against Dundee United, and then I read on, I don't know, an article today that he'd actually come on as a sub for Bonar. So right. I don't know what's right. I was at the game and I was sober, so I don't know why I can't remember. But yeah, I seem to remember him starting the game as well, because I was quite excited and he didn't perform very well as well. So yeah,
I only took that off the transfer market earlier today when I was looking at it. But other than that, yeah, you're right. He's come off and had 13 and 14 minutes in the early rounds of the Cup. He's had a whole 2 minutes of football under Michael Beale since he's been here. So that kind of tells you where Michael Beale views him. And again, this might fall into that category. Beale trying to trust older players, and obviously with Jack coming back into fitness, using Jack, trying to get him up to match speed, which is a detriment to the younger players at times, which you can see. I mean, fair play to the lad wanting to go away and get first team football, because how often have we seen players that'll sit about the squad? Like Stephen Kelly springs to mind. He maybe hung around a wee bit too long at Rangers, but I think he was maybe told that he was getting something and it didn't come to fruition. I'll look at as well, Cole McKinnon's out on loan at Partick Thistle at the moment. When he comes back, he's going to be another sort of midfielder vying similar to McCann, and like what happens there, obviously with McKinnon playing, I think he's played about 24 games for Thistle so far this season. So he's playing up against a higher quality opposition than McCann is in the B team. So you would imagine that he's maybe jumped a wee bit ahead in his development as well. So I can see why McCann's left. I mean, the fee was about 350,000. It's not too bad, but it's the sell-on fee, and I think Rangers had mentioned in their article that there's a return, like, you know, that thing you buy back option and things like that. Yeah. But good luck to the lad. But like I say, he's not been given the chance in the team often enough, and I kind of agree with Ali's kind of statement there of, does he improve that first team squad? And I don't think he has done enough in the Premiership so far to prove that.
Yeah, wish nothing but the best for him. Genuinely, nothing against the boy at all. For wanting to go play football, wish him absolutely nothing but the best. And you never know; who knows what the future might hold. Anyway, I was saying to you before we came on air, I was like, I bet you I get like halfway through a half an hour in, and we've still not even spoke about our signing. On to the positive news, and at long last, we've got a signing to talk about. Todd Cantwell has signed for Rangers, so. He was touted about 40 million plus, whatever way you want to look at it, a few seasons back. He has scored goals against the Big Four in England. I don't know if you have heard it, but full credit to this bit goes to Heart and Hand from their daily update today. They had an interview where David Edgar, Adam Thornton, Stevie Clifford from Four Lads, and Mark Dingwall from Follow could ask him questions directly. Scotia, it's pretty clear from what he was saying anyway that the managers had a massive impact on him signing for Rangers.
Yeah, no, I loved that interview that you mentioned there on the Heart and Hand Daily Update, because I listened to that before I actually listened to his press conference with the media. So just the way the things had gone today, I put that on first before I'd listened to that one. And I loved it. He came across so well, spoke so well. Considering that I've seen some people on Twitter moaning about him because of some of his Instagram snaps and things like that, but he comes across as absolutely.
His dress sense is quite like yours, to be fair.
I don't think so. Come on, Carney. When have you ever seen me dress with some of the stuff that he's got on? Can't afford stuff like that, Carney.
Should we bring up the Calvin Klein denim jacket thing that you used to kick about? Oh God.
Next Saturday, I'll wear that out for you, right?
Don't you
get it on.
That's your OnlyFans.
No, but he came across really well in that interview with David. It was interesting to see some of the things he said. I quite liked his response that he said to Stevie Clifford in one of the questions where he likes to see himself play. That was interesting to see. Again, it kind of, like we were mentioning about Lowry there, it kind of where he wants to play is where Tillman wants to play, probably where Lowry wants to play, probably where Hadji wants to play, probably where Lawrence wants to play. We're getting really top heavy in those kind of areas at the minute, but it's good having him in. He came across really well. The one that he done with the normal press as well, same as well. He knows exactly what it's about. It was encouraging to hear what, like you mentioned there, about the Beale being so influential in him coming. It's good to see that. At least he's buying into what Beale wants to do. And yeah, I'm excited about him after hearing the few interviews of today.
Yeah, definitely. Ali, he said himself that there was obviously teams interested in him. Obviously didn't name any team specifically, but some were abroad, some were in England. So he feels that Rangers is going to be the best fit for him. He said he's willing to give it all for the team, and he knows that's what the fans are looking for. He's played against low blocks before, and he said he was playing at his best when this was the case, when he was winning the championship with Norwich. I mean, that's kind of music to my ears, to be honest.
He fits the profile of what we're looking for, what that midfield needs at the moment. He's very confident. I like it. He speaks very well, like Scotia says. I know you're having a go at his dress sense, but I think he's the kind of guy who's got the attitude that goes, I don't give monkeys, that's what I'll do.
Yeah.
He's got a bit of the Ryan Kent about him. Ryan Kent will rival him because Ryan Kent likes that kind of dress sense as well. So, but no, I like the boy. I like the way he speaks. I like what he was saying in terms of where he can play. He can play wide. He can play in the middle of the park where I think Beale wants him to play, which is up against the guy Scotia just rhymed off there. But I think he'll add a bit of swagger to this Rangers team, and it's something we need. We need somebody who's a bit gallus, a bit give me the ball and I'll dictate. And I think possibly he could be the guy, Carney.
Yeah, Ryan, he's it's going to be quite a significant outlay for the club. This, obviously, no details have been released of it. We don't even know how long he's signed for, because the club haven't released that for whatever reason. But I do, based on his past experience, and when he was playing very well, as I say, he was touted for big things. He has scored goals against big teams. To me, this is a wee bit of a coup for Rangers, I think.
It feels like one of those ones that could be a cracking signing, but yeah, everybody's a bit scared because of scar tissue or what with bumping our gums about Ramsey and other players. I think we're all secretly sitting there going, aye, happy with this one. This could be a good one. This could be a cracker.
Hence why there was no live pod last night. Reaction to it.
Well, actually, as soon as he signed, I switched my phone off in case you asked me to come on and do one. No, I just think everybody's quietly confident about this one, and nobody's really bumping their gums. We know, I think anybody that watched Cantwell in the Premier League previously, I had him in my fantasy team, and that tells you everything because I don't put anybody in my fantasy team unless you score goals. So I remember him being pretty handy for assists and goals. And he did hit a kind of peak in his career where he was getting linked with a big move. I don't know if it was one of the London clubs or something like that. I do remember there was talk of him going elsewhere, and then he's just kind of fell away. But I quite like that. I don't know who asked him today, but they asked him about not his fall from grace, but how he'd hit a few bumps in the road in his career. And he answered it well, and I was quite convinced of what he said. Like, that happens in life, not just in your career, not just in football. That happens in life. That you hit bumps in the road, and it's what makes you a stronger person, and if you learn from it, etc. And I quite liked how he spoke today, and I agree with Ali. He was quite confident, but not in a Joey Barton kind of way. He wasn't a stupid, arrogant way and just kind of trying to get a reaction out of people. I actually was looking at him and thinking, you fancy it here, you genuinely believe that you're going to do something here, and you look hungry. And that's what we've got to hear. But as always, it's always about what he's going to do on a Saturday on the pitch and what he's going to do in blue. It doesn't matter what he's done with Norwich or who he's impressed in the past. It's whether you can do it for Glasgow Rangers on a Saturday, and that's what remains to be seen.
Yeah, it is all words. It generally is all just words just now. But I'll agree with all you. I was very impressed with the way that he spoke, the way that he came across. Even when he was asked about where he sees himself within the team, he said he must have had multiple discussions with Beale about what he sees his role within the team being, where he's going to play, what his primary job of being in this team is going to be, and he's used phrases like unlocking doors, which is obviously Ali's absolutely favourite saying, but it's true, and that's what he sees himself as. And I'm very, very impressed with the way that he came across, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing what he can do. So he did describe himself as a bit of a a bit of a flair player, but he says he has to get yourself happy again and playing football again, and enjoy it again, enjoy football again, because obviously he's had these troubles at Norwich, so it's now time for him to kind of wipe the slate clean and start again, and he's chose to do it at Rangers. So I'm excited to see this one. I do think obviously if he continued on the kind of path that he was on, we wouldn't have been anywhere near him. He would have signed for Chelsea, whoever. He would have signed for somebody for a silly amount of money. But I do think. I do still think what in a market with him with a fully loaded up contract, even just now in England, you're probably talking again roughly 12, 15 million, something like that. An English team would probably take a punt on him on. So for us to get him, I don't know. I know we've not spent that much money, but I still think there'll be quite a significant outlay for this. But I am very much looking forward to seeing what he can bring, and I can't wait to see him start on Saturday. Thank you, Michael Beale. Thank you for watching. You've got my opinion. Now make sure he plays. We'll move on from him and speak about another potential signing. Ali Raskin looks imminent, according to reports from his camp, pretty much in Belgium. It's already a done deal. He signed a 4.5-year deal, rumoured to be around €1 million for the release now because he signed a pre-contract. What's your thoughts on Raskin, mate, in this deal? And if he does come in, is that enough in the midfield for you?
I'd need to look more into Raskin. Scotia's probably the man to because Scotia's probably watched every game Raskin's ever played in his life, so Scotia will know exactly all about that boy. But on paper, from what I've seen, he looks apart. 21 years of age. He's fallen out. He's similar to Cantwell in terms of he hasn't played football in the last 2 months, I don't think. So he's another one we'll need to get up to speed. I know you're saying Cantwell starting Saturday, Canny. I want him to start Saturday as well, but he's not played football in 2 months.
At
the same time, he needs to get game time. So I'd expect us to see him on Saturday. But Raskin falls into the same camp, but we're top heavy in midfielders now. That's why Charlie McCann, unfortunately, has went out the door. It's probably made a wee bit of room for Raskin to come in now. I want him in now because he's going to have 4 or 5 months to work with the players for next season when we go and challenge for the title. Because as we've said, the title's probably just out of our reach by now. So we need to build for next season for the league. So I want him in now. He ticks boxes. But in terms of the midfield area now, yeah, I can see that now. We need an attacker, but that's probably another story. But in terms of the midfield, yeah, I did say when you asked me I said 2 or 3 players, and I said they would all be midfielders. So there's 2 in already as midfielders. I know you'll come on to Whittaker, who's a forward / maybe midfield wide man, if you want to say. But yeah, I think that's our business done in the midfield. And if he comes in now, I'll be happy enough for that.
Yeah, Scotia, over to you, mate.
Here they go. All the stats are coming.
No, I've not got much more to add in Raskin than what I said on Friday night. I'm more excited about Raskin than I am about Cantwell, because they're both, like Ali says, they're both really similar in terms of how their careers kind of stalling a wee bit at the moment. We're both getting them both almost in like pre-contracts, really, obviously just paying out the fee, as it were. If what you mentioned there, €1 million to pay out his fee right now, that's an absolute bargain, because he would be going for 8 figures if he was in a decent contract as well.
Well, I think it's down to what's left on his contract as well. I think that's pretty much how it works. I don't know. Again, I am no footballing guru, but I'm pretty sure there'll be some form of compensation within that, and Rangers will have bought out the rest of his contract that Standard Liège were due to pay him. That's that's what I think anyway. I don't know if that's right or not.
Right. Well, if that's true, but anyway, just even if it was €2 million, I mean, that still is. We might seem an awful lot of money, but I think that's a bit of a bargain, to be honest, for a player of his kind of the pedigree and the noises that are getting made about Raskin, because he seems to be like a bit of a leader on the pitch as well. And I think that this one would ask.
what type of player is he, Scotia? I mean, what is he? Is he a defensive midfielder? Is he a Stuart McCall type or something? Or
Stuart McCall from what era though? Because Stuart McCall was one of those players that Kerry played further and further back as time went on. No, I think I
don't know much about him. So
I think he's a bit more defensive midfielder. So he's coming in there to that position where you've got your likes of Lundstrom, Jack, and Kamara at the moment. They'd be playing. I would say
he's like a modern day Ryan Jack, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. A
younger, better version of Jack. Yeah, but, and this one as well is probably. Obviously, we were talking about McCann earlier. This is probably offset disappointment McCann leaving, the fact that it looks like he's coming in, because I do think he is an improvement and he will walk into that team straight away and make an impact, which we've all been crying out for. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Raskin. On your question around do we need other midfielders, I think we do, but I think we're fine for this window, because I think you've got your back two or your midfield covered, and then like we've mentioned, there's so many players that can play that attacking midfielder role. But it'd be interesting to see, because I think there'll be sometimes this season where you'll see one of a Raskin or a Lundstrom and the two attacking players playing rather than two sitting. That'll be good, but I think we will need to look to bring in another midfielder in the summer. But I think we're in a position now, whereas if Raskin comes in and it's confirmed, then we can probably get by the rest of this season without adding any more bodies in there.
Yeah, I think what you meant there, I think the same, mate. I think you can see Cantwell and Tillman in the same team. I don't think they're particularly challenging each other for a shot for the lesser games, if that makes sense, in the nicest possible way. I think you can because it's the hybrid 10 and the hybrid 8. See all these football technology terms that I'm learning. But that's kind of what it is. And I think Cantwell would play more the 8 and Tillman would play more the 10. That's basically the way that I look at it. And then you could have Raskin sitting there. I mean, again, I've said it before, that when you start thinking about all these players that we do have, and if we get these two players in, Cantwell's in, and we get Raskin in, things have they just immediately look different. They just, everything kind of turns on its head a wee bit. Ryan, your opinion on Raskin? I don't think I've asked you, mate. I don't think you've been on since we were linked with him. What's your thoughts on this?
Well, firstly, I'd never heard of him. I'll be honest, I'd never heard of him. I knew nothing about him. But I did read an article on him. I think it might have been the weekend. Who it was by, I can't remember, but it was someone who knew who he was and rated him as a Belgian under-21 player. Fell out of favour with Standard Liège, but I also watched the review today. Derek Clark had Sasha Tolveri or something, I think some sort of Belgian media guy, and he was obviously knew him very well, but he kind of contradicts what the guys were saying. He said he's a very direct player, like he'll just be completely direct towards goal. So I don't know.
I think that's more.
He is.
Sorry, Ryan, for jumping. I think that's more being like direct, and it's the directness that you've been screaming out for, getting
with the ball
towards goal, passing the ball forwards rather than
okay. I thought he maybe meant in terms of just having a shot, because I get excited for a minute there because I do like a shot. But I felt it does seem as if he's got a good reputation. It's just whether it's. The thing that worries me is if he's that good, why is he out in the cold? That's what I'm a bit worried about. If this boy's that good, obviously you do get players that have attitude or whatever, but I'm just worried that he's maybe out in the cold for the wrong reasons. Me probably looking at the glass half full there, but what I will be convinced is Beale will be signing both these players to be first team starters. He has said it numerous times. He's not looking to bring in loan deals or squad players. They're first team starters, so it will be interesting to see. Yes, they won't be the sharpest at the moment, but I see no problem, especially with Cantwell and starting him on Saturday. I totally agree with you. I would just start him, just let him play. If he survives 30 minutes, 40 minutes, then happy days. Raskin will probably be a bit further away from that, but it'll be interesting to see the changes in that midfield. I can think of one player I would drop in 2 seconds from that midfield for either or. But it will be interesting because I think the midfield has been the one area and the one kind of complaint from all Rangers fans. We've all been on the same page that we need to change that midfield. So I'm glad to see 2 midfielders coming in.
Yeah, very much looking forward to it. I would go along with Scotia after doing a bit of digging into to Raskin as well. As I'd be really excited to get this lad because he's been liked by a number of teams, and I don't really know if he's fell out of favour as such. He's definitely fell out with the club. I think it's clear that he doesn't want to be there anymore. And again, according to Heart and Hand, it's been rumoured that when he found out Rangers were interested in the summer, that he's made the decision to wait until now before making the decision on his future because he wanted to come here. Again, that's good. That's all great. And again, it's all good if it's true as well, but that's what you want. You want players to want to come play here. And again, I'm presuming that Beale's probably had the conversation with him and he'll know himself whether the lad's going to be up to the challenge or not. But again, I'm quite excited about this one. And yeah, the directness is, see how we speak about the other side of the city, mate, how they take 3 passes to get into the box. It's that kind of thing. It's he turns with the ball and he just thinks, I'm going that way with it. There's no sidey out to Bonar, out to Tav. It'll be a forward pass to Cantwell, to Tillman for them to turn and go forward. So that's the kind of directness of it. He's not scared. He's definitely not scared. Very confident in his own ability for the age that he is. So no, I would be very excited with that one. Very excited. Just before we finish up for tonight, Rangers are still rumoured to be interested in bringing Morgan Whittaker to the club. And I suppose, yeah, that's all well and good. Obviously, there was a bit of controversy around him being named in the squad, but he wasn't played for Swansea, which means that he can still move on if he wants because it's the 3-club thing in 1 year. Ali, I think the bigger question around this is, Beale has said numerous times and recently as well that he wants to see Morelos and Čolak playing in the same team. If this is going to be the case and this is what he wants, obviously just now he doesn't have the ability to do that because we're very short on strikers. I think I've said probably since Beale came in, I've kind of been looking at it and going, we need a striker. Now Whittaker can play anywhere across the front 3, so I'm not sure. He's quite a tall lad. I don't think he's not like Sakala. I think he's more of a build than Sakala. He's not just a winger, if that makes sense, because I don't see Sakala as being through the middle. But I still think, even if it's not Whittaker, I still think we need to be bringing somebody else, another striker in this window. If there's going to be 3 signings, I expect it to be a striker or a forward player, if that makes sense, or one of the front line.
No, definitely. We're too light up there, and we're relying on Morelos each week, who is carrying an injury apparently, and wasn't he great against St Johnstone again? Morelos, I know the park wasn't great. Kamar Roof's injured again. When we'll see him, we don't know. Apparently it's before the cup final, and then you've got Čolak, who's been in and out with injury as well. So I agree, we need to bring a forward player in. This one with Whittaker, the first thing me and Scotia checked when we were out the pub on Saturday was the Swansea team lineup to see if he was in it, and he wasn't. So I think there could be a wee bit of poker between us and Swansea right up to that deadline with that boy. I wouldn't be surprised. I know obviously there's the weekend to come, so if he's in that team and plays, it's game over, but I can't see it from what happened last weekend. So I think this will run right up to the window. But I'd like to think Rangers have got a backup if that one doesn't go well. I know you're laughing there, because we usually don't, but I'd like to think we do have a backup because we do need somebody in that forward line, because if we get another injury to Čolak or Morelos, I think we could be up shit creek. And you've seen what happened to us last season in that Europa League run, Karen. We had no strikers. So definitely need to look at a forward player, if it's Whittaker or not, somebody else.
Yeah. Scotia, do you agree with that? If it's Whittaker or not, we should still be looking at recruiting. If there's going to be a third signing, it should be a striker, and you are on mute before you do a blooper.
Oh, God.
Cheers.
Honestly, man. Honestly.
Cheers. No paying attention. Sorry, I was engaged in Ali's conversation there, so I wasn't.
Oh, you were? That's a lie. Nobody's ever engaged in Ali's conversation, mate. Don't lie.
I was scrolling through Twitter. Yes, I agree. I think if it is Whittaker, it's obviously died down in our front a wee bit, but that's probably because Cantwell and Raskin has kind of came to the fore more. But it'll be interesting to see, like Ali says, if he's in the squad for the Swansea game this weekend. Given that it's died down from us a wee bit, does that mean that he then can't use that excuse to Russell Martin that his head's not in it to play in the game? Because I think that's kind of what he'd come out and said to Russell Martin, that he obviously all this interest had got him off focus and things like that. Yeah, I've not looked into Whittaker myself in too much detail, so just listened to what other folk have heard in other pods and things like that. And he looks like he could be a decent addition to the squad, but I do still get that tendency that he is a bit more of a development player in terms of you'll see the best of him in a season, 2 seasons time. But I agree with your statement there that we do need a forward player, and I would be tending to try and look for not an old school centre forward, but someone that is a centre forward rather than he can play in the left, he can play in the right, he can play in behind. I'd quite like us to gun for a striker, but there's not many of them about really. I know I'd mentioned Nisbet before. I've seen people have started banging the drum about Shankland, and I'm like, Shankland was one of those ones that I wanted about 3 seasons ago when he moved to Dundee United, but he's still in decent form. I was looking at him, he's 13th in the Golden Boot race for the moment. He's never going to take over Haaland, but he's 13th in that Golden Boot race for Europe. But I would like us to sign, I think we need a striker, and out-and-out striker for me would be fantastic.
Yeah. Ryan, what's your thoughts on all this? Scotia makes a good point. Look, Nisbet and Shankland are 2 that have been kind of floated about. It's the typical thing that they're the kind of best strikers of the rest. I don't know if what's that guy that plays for Aberdeen? I always forget his name.
Miovski.
What's his name? No, the other one. The other one. Duke as well. He's probably another one that would get thrown into it as well, because he seems quite impressive. We've seen, but they've been quite impressive against Rangers, I suppose. Maybe not Shankland.
He wasn't impressive last night, Carney.
No, he wasn't. Did he play last night? Did they play a strong? I don't even know. I'm not talking about Aberdeen. Anyway, leave that there. Right, your thoughts on it? Would anybody from Scotland be good enough to be the backup to Morelos and Trolak, or you think we'll go Whittaker?
Scotia kind of stole my thunder a bit there. I think of what I read on Twitter before I come on, apparently Millwall were at the table for Hibs, and it is Twitter, so it might be a lot of rubbish. If Millwall were at the table, get a bid in, Rangers. Get a bid in. This boy scores goals in the SPFL. I'll be honest with you, and I know you disagree. I think you all disagree with me. If Nisbet came to Rangers, he would be number 1 striker for me the way Morelos is playing. I think Nisbet would score goals in that team. I think he's a handy player. He knows the league, and I think he's got a bit of attitude on him that when he scored at Ibrox, he gave it a bit to the fans, and I don't think he dislikes Rangers. I just think he's got a bit of attitude, and I think he's a very good player, and if you could get him for £1 million, £2 million, it kind of reminds me a wee bit of Kenny Miller when he was younger. He's got those kind of cute finishes, and he's got a bit of pace about him, and he's good with the ball over the top with the defenders, and I would put a bid in for him. Shankland, I was the same as Scotia. I wanted him a couple of years ago, and I think he's out of price range now, boys. I think Hearts would want £3-4 million for him, probably something like that, and they're quite entitled to ask for that because he's having the season of his life. But at the same time, I think I could see Rangers signing this boy Whittaker and signing a striker. I don't think we're just done if we sign Raskin and Whittaker. I think I could see them signing a couple because we do, as Ali said, we do lack firepower up there. And we can't just put all our eggs in one basket and say, right, we've signed Whittaker, so he has to work. I don't think there's anything wrong with signing that boy Whittaker and also getting another striker in, because there's going to be changes. There's going to be big changes in summer. I expect Morelos to leave. I don't rely on Roof any longer, so I think there's going to be big changes up top for Rangers in the next 6 months.
Yeah, I go along with that, and I think also as well that as fans of a Scottish team, you kind of think paying $3 million for a Scottish player is a bit much. But sometimes I think Rangers are going to need to take a risk at some point with players. We've done it before in the past with players like Neil McCann is one that I remember when we were signing him, people were impressed with him, but they had no idea what we were actually getting until we started playing with. And Neil McCann was a fantastic signing for Rangers. And I know that's talking years ago. I don't mean to kind of harp on the past, but somebody like Shankland, if Hearts wanted £3 million for him, I would be seriously considering putting a bid in for that, honestly, because you're going to have to take a risk at this. And Shankland's one of the kind of players that in a team like ours, with the players that he would have round about him, I think he would flourish. And Nisbet, I can see the argument, and genuinely I can. I can see that. I disagree with Ryan, and when we talk about Craig Porteous, that is for sure. But with Nisbet, I can definitely see him scoring goals for Rangers. I really could. It's an interesting one. I would quite like if Rangers do sign Whittaker. I like your thinking though, Ryan. Like if we sign Whittaker, there's no reason why we can't go out and sign an actual out-and-out striker. But yeah, whether Rangers would be willing to, or to be seen to, paying kind of 3 million, because it wouldn't stay secret in Scotland, that's for sure. It would come out exactly how much it was. Whether they'd be willing to do that or not, I suppose, remains to be seen. But yeah, what we got?
What I don't want, Carney.
7 days left of the transfer window, is that right?
Yes, 7 days. What I don't want is I've said a couple of times, I think we're guilty, and that lot as well, guilty of kind of turning our nose up at Scottish talent. We're kind of like, he can score goals for Hibs and not, he won't score goals for us, and I think we're guilty of that, and we probably were in terms of Lewis Ferguson. I think I just don't want to see that kind of Scottish talent going elsewhere and then thinking we should have put a bid in there.
I've got one for you, and it was floated earlier in the season, and I kind of poo-pooed him at the time because I thought, I don't think he's good enough. But I've actually seen quite a lot of him on Sky Sports because a lot of the Championship football's there. Ross Stewart at Sunderland for me is
I knew you were going to
doing a.
I don't know why, I just knew you were going to say that.
He's doing a turn there, and there's been a lot of Sunderland on Sky Sports recently, and he's played really well, and he'd be a different option for us up there. And he's available on a free in the summer, so he's one I'd be looking at.
Yeah, that's a shout. That is a shout. That's a shout. Yeah, well, I say 7 days left of this window, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But I from all sources that I've seen and people that I tend to kind of trust with Rangers news, it looks like Raskin will be either tomorrow or Thursday when we get him announced, and then we'll see what the rest of the window holds. Yeah, that'll do us for tonight. That was not bad, lads. Ali, thanks very much, mate.
No problem. Just away to meet Jim Goodwin for dinner. I'll see when I come back down. Drive him down the road.
He's not even got off his kitchen table, mate. He's still crying into his cornflakes, I'm sure.
The Aberdeen fans want me to drive him back down the road to Glasgow so he can get used to his Celtic season ticket. So I'll take him down with tomorrow.
Yeah, Scotia, thanks very much, mate.
Cheers. It's lovely to be a Bear.
It is lovely to be a Bear, always is. Ryan, cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate. Quite enjoyed that. I think I enjoy talking about transfers more and enjoy talking about actual Rangers playing at the moment. But hopefully we get another couple of faces in. And Ali, got your text message there. Enjoy Love Island, mate. Fair play to you.
Don't worry, I will.
Oh, God. Honestly, man. Yeah, so we will be back on Friday with Club Live as we look ahead to the St Johnstone game. No, you're not having deja vu. We are playing St Johnstone again. We'll be back on Friday. Who's hosting Friday? Ryan is hosting on Friday. There you go. So Ryan's reading the Manscaped promo. There's a reason to tune in. There's a reason to tune in. So yeah, if you could please like the video, subscribe to the channel, all the usual stuff. We will be back on Friday with Club Live. So thank you for tuning in. We are Club at 22, the Rangers podcast. Cheers, everybody.